It's time for Southern Fried Baseball, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Jake McKeever as he talks everything SEC baseball and more.
Welcome in, College Baseball Central fans, back again ahead of opening weekend in the SEC. Last year we were deterred by technical issues. Tonight we were deterred by technical issues, but we still prevail, as they say. Like everybody in the SEC, we're getting hot at the right time. We're peaking at the right time. It's opening weekend in the SEC. Tons of intriguing matchups. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter show today, technically, because we're only talking about 8 games instead of 16. We have Micah here from the ACC, Andrew here from NOLA. We'll start with you, Micah. How are we doing today?
Micah from the ACC, as if I've not been to as many SEC games as you've been to, Jake. Come on now, buddy.
I think you've been to more, by the way.
What'd you say? I
said I think you've been to more.
I guess maybe it does mean more. I thought it meant less, Jake. What are we doing here, buddy? No, I'm good. You know, excited. We get to spend the weekend together, Jake. Are you ready?
We do. 2 queen beds in a Best Western.
I actually upgraded it to the honeymoon suite just for you and me.
Would you say it was a 15-minute walk from College Station? So if you're going to be in College Station this weekend, we're going to be giving out some seeds.
It's a 50-minute walk to the ballpark now.
50?
How could you? What hotel is 15 minutes away? Have you seen the complex of where the baseball team plays, Jake? You went there.
The
There's
A&M
not a hotel
Hotel
anywhere within 15-minute walk of that place.
The A&M Hotel?
Okay, I'm sorry that I don't have A&M hotel money, okay? My bad, Jake. Sorry that we're staying at a Best Western. Oops, I just revealed where we're staying. Sorry we're staying at a Best Western, Jake.
Yeah, because there's so many Best Westerns in College Station, so it'll be
tough
actually
for 3 of them,
figure us
so.
out. Andrew, how are we doing down in the boot?
We're doing good. Doing good. Getting ready for opening weekend of SEC conference play.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. Micah is going to be our MC tonight. It's going to be me and Andrew in a PTI style show tonight. Micah, you want to go ahead and kick us off? Tell us what our first topic is.
I get one of those points. It's around the horn that gives you the points, right? Is that what it is?
Yes, and I do not enjoy around the horn because
I would have loved to be able to give points just to Andrew, just for being Andrew. Like I deduct points from you right now for using a mic that's on your headphone, but then holding a wireless mic to your face like this.
This is a dummy mic, by the way. This is more of a headset.
Pull it up.
There we go.
Thank you.
I saw, before we jump into it, I saw Jared from Just Baseball, who looked like a little bit more,
You sound quieter though, Jake. I'm not even gonna lie. Like
it is.
I don't know
okay.
That mic works.
Maybe it's this mic, but I saw Jared with the mic.
Pull this mic away. No, the other one, like the wireless one. Now pull that one close and talk.
Hello.
That's the mic that's working.
So this is the dummy mic?
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, I saw Jared from Just Baseball, and I felt
you're still using it.
It was a better look for me with this mic. So I'm just a phony, a big fat phony. The whole goal of this was to be under an hour, by the way, and we're already.
Are you sure it's Southern Fried Baseball and not Jake is Fried Baseball?
Jake is fried, yeah.
Oh, anyway,
in the spirit of
let's
BYU,
talk some SEC baseball, Jake and Andrew. First off, I need to ask. Since I'm leading this, I'm gonna ask questions in ways to make this way more interesting. Jake, you're not prepared for this.
Perfect. Yeah.
Someone on this panel called for a sweep in the Georgia-Kentucky series that'll get us going here. 7:00 Eastern, 6:00. Well, I guess Warren Nolan's timing is not right, Jake, because aren't a lot of teams doing doubleheaders now on Friday? So take this with a grain of salt, everybody. We are using the Warren Nolan time frame of what the original schedule was going to be. So just keep that in mind. So
I
the
don't
first
think
game
Georgia's
that was
moved up yet, by the way.
Huh?
Just checking.
Georgia has it, but like I know Arkansas did, Ole Miss, Arkansas was moved up.
LSU was moved up.
LSU was moved up.
4:30, yeah.
But we'll just go in the order of Warren Nolan just to make it easy. So if you're following along, check out Warren Nolan, what it was up to date at 7:30 p.m. Central Time on a Thursday, the 13th. But Kentucky heads to Georgia. Andrew, I don't want to spoil it, but you did have a Georgia sweep, and I was quite surprised when putting the graphic together that you had that, considering Kentucky. I know Jake will obviously probably defend Kentucky here, but Kentucky has just been kind of just winning, flying under the radar. So kind of curious your thoughts on this opening weekend as the Kentucky Wildcats come in as the underdog, yet they were the team in Omaha last year, and they've done nothing this year to prove that they aren't not the same team as last year, but don't have that capability again this year.
Yeah, I think that Kentucky team of last year is just they're not the same team. It's simple as that. I think Georgia, they bring just such good bats into this conference play, especially it being at Georgia. Obviously, I didn't look at the weather to see if the wind was blowing in or out, but I do expect that Zaborowski just continues to rake this weekend. Trey Phillips and Robbie Burnett, like they've been reaching base at an immense rate this year. I just think the Georgia bats have faced a little more adversity than Kentucky has, being down in games. But I just think this Kentucky offense is going to outslug the Kentucky pitching.
Jake, your rebuttal, since you are Mr. Wildcat over here.
Yes, I should say that on another said graphic, I did have Kentucky. That was a mistake. I really should have gone.
I would like to make a suggestion, Jake, before you go ahead and continue.
Is it about?
If you're gonna at least play the dummy mic, slide the real mic close to your face.
Okay, can you
now
hear that better?
Sound so much better. Okay.
Okay. So why am I doing the dummy mic? I'll say this. This one I kind of went back and forth on a little bit. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a redemption around Nolan McCarthy leaving from Kentucky to go to Georgia. So I felt like Kentucky was going to have a little bit extra motivation. With the wind playing the way that it does and Foley Field playing the way that people think Lindsey Nelson plays, I think it's going to be Georgia. And I'll give a little X factor here for you. I think the bottom of the lineup depth for Georgia is going to shine a little bit more for Kentucky. And I think that the bullpen is going to be a little bit more battle tested. Obviously, Kentucky on Friday night is going to throw Nick McKay, who, as of this moment, has the lowest SEC ERA. And he's going up against, I don't think Georgia's announced starters, but I assume it's going to be Leighton Finley or, Goldstein, who's been an opener for them due to his arm issues. I think Kentucky gets them Friday night, and then Georgia bounces back and wins the next two. That's how I kind of see it playing out.
Yeah, their rotation this weekend is Goldstein, Hoskins, and then Leighton Finley on Sunday.
That is an outrageous rotation. And we do have the late joining Caleb here to join us too as well, because we spent a lot of time talking backstage. I guess that Caleb had a chance to get home from practice.
I made it, guys. I made it.
On here as we're talking Kentucky, Georgia.
Hold on, I'm trying to be nosy on his background here.
Oh, I got them all.
So we got three ACCs at a Duke in the very corner that's getting cut off here. So I'm starting to wonder if Caleb needs to be on the ACC shows more often, because I'm seeing more ACC than SEC. Oh, no, Ole Miss is there, so we're tied now. But that's still really disgusting that we've got the horns are up. Jake, are you okay with the horns being up behind him, or do they need to be down?
Nah, he can keep them up. You got to do it like in
the first time me and Jake.
Wolfpack.
Yeah.
The first time me and Jake did our show, I wore a Texas shirt, and I didn't realize he was an Aggie fan.
I'm not an Aggie fan,
but
he's an alum. Big difference.
Okay, hold on. I do have one bone to pick, and we'll talk about this later with Texas. What are the thoughts on them doing hook'em in the line where instead of doing knuckles or high fives?
I love it. I think it's awesome.
How many schools do you think could do that though, other than Texas? A&M obviously can. TCU
A&M kind of does with the anthem with the thumbs up behind it. Like it's kind of like a version of that.
Do you think Florida could do it? Like I'm trying to think if Florida could do it.
That'd be the dumbest thing ever. Good game, guys. Good game. He's like, imagine Sully at the very end. Every player puts their head in his hands. Good game.
Oklahoma's would be kind of weird too with the one finger.
Why does Oklahoma do the one? Because that's Nebraska's thing. I thought. I don't know. Whatever.
I thought Nebraska's thing was this.
They got canceled. Okay, Jake, come on.
So, I kind of like it too as well. I think more schools should use their hand sign in lines. And since, according to TCU fans, everything that Texas does is stolen from TCU, I think America.
No, you can't. You got to be careful now, Andrew, because remember, this is pony up for SMU. So you got to make sure you really, really touch the fingers to the palms. That's what I was told. Right. That's TCU. That right here is pony up for SMU. So yeah, because I did a ACC video at SMU and I went a little too close to the Palms here and got a lot of heat for it. So damn hand signals, the worst.
All right, so let's get back to Kentucky, Georgia. Caleb, you were not in the graphic for whatever reason.
Whatever reason, Jake didn't tell me to invite you, Caleb.
That is
That's
true. That
actually
is
what
my
happened.
bad. Caleb, go ahead and give us your picks for Georgia, Kentucky. Andrew has them sweeping. Micah and I have them just taking 2 of 3. The Georgia.
Yeah, I got Georgia taking 2 or 3. It's tough to sweep in the SEC. You know how it is. I mean, the only people I see sweeping this week is probably LSU. I mean, realistically. But I see Georgia taking 2 or 3 against Kentucky.
All right, so it's a clean sweep for the Georgia Bulldogs, I believe. Micah, did you want to add anything before we move on?
I am very upset, Jake, that I went to the last games at – well, it's not the last games. They had the NC State Supers after. But I went to one of the last games at the old Foley Field because it looks so much cooler on TV than it did when I was there last year for that regional, the original regional with Georgia Tech and UNCW and Army. So anyways, Georgia, way to continue to invest in baseball. Because when I was there, you could tell there was energy, but it's cool to see that there's that much of it right now. So I hope,
did you see their facility down the third baseline?
Yes,
by the way, Micah.
I mean, it wasn't there. I didn't get to go over there too much, minus for the press conference stuff. But like, I do think that the future too, just like I hope Foley Field's packed this week. I don't know what the weather looks like in Georgia this weekend, but I really hope it's a great crowd.
I think we're going to be there for the Branch Bowl.
They really do.
I'm going to try and get out there for the Branch Bowl, so maybe we can talk to somebody at Georgia and get a tour. Because that place, yeah, it just looks absolutely incredible. It looks like a place like the players sleep and just never leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to see the investment. And Kentucky obviously has a very similar thing. That's my my one bash with the ACC is that too many of our programs have facilities that look like high school fields. So, anyways, nope, that's all I got. Ready to move forward. Let's move on. Jake, according to Warden Nolan, the next series is probably the biggest one of the weekend. So I want to know if you want me to save it and save the best for last, or do you really want to go Warren Nolan?
We'll go Warden Nolan just because it's Tennessee.
All right,
Florida.
gentlemen. Well, it's time to talk Florida and Tennessee. My number one and number 3 in my CBC rankings. I don't know where you guys had them. I'm very high on Florida. Obviously, they just beat my number 2 team, Florida State, in the midweek. So technically, it's a glorified 1 and 2 in my head. Whoever wins the weekend will be my number 1 team this weekend, on Sunday when we do our poll for College Baseball Central. So I'll start with Caleb since he was the one that joined us last. Caleb, and also I don't know your picks. I know Andrew and Jake's picks. I made the graphic, but I don't know your pick for this series. So what is your initial thoughts on this Florida-Tennessee matchup? That I mean, obviously Florida's number 7 in the D1 poll, but we're a little bit higher on them on CBC side. Kind of where do you see this kind of going? I know Andrew brought up some good points about some of the stuff Florida just shared about their current health statuses, but where's your head at for this big series in Knoxville?
Yeah, it's the first top 10 match. I mean, SC play. It's a huge series. I think. I mean, Liam Doyle. I mean, he's been elite so far. He's been probably the best pitcher in the entire country. I think Tennessee is the best team in the country right now. I mean, even though they're not number 1 in the polls, but I think they're still the number 1 team in the country. I mean, they have not skipped a beat since winning the national title last year. But I do got Tennessee taking 2 out of 3 this series. I just think they're the better team. They're more talented, and they got the better coach.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, we got lucky. We got to see him in Houston, a week ago now, 2 weeks ago. And I mean, I would be the first to say I was not a doubter of Tennessee, right? But I kind of thought a lot of it was just the love from last year's national championship. Jake, I'm curious if your sentiment's the same as mine. This team might be better than last year's team.
I think it's a deeper bullpen, and I think I like Gavin Keelan and Andrew Fisher over.
Yeah, I'm still really salty that Gavin Keelan has found something like that he has at Tennessee, because that was not the Gavin
Hold
Keelan.
on, I do have a bone to pick with Gavin Keelan, and it's around you specifically. When he launched that ball in Minute Maid, I was like, oh, when did Gavin Keelan add power? And Micah smugly goes, oh, he had power last year. You don't watch ACC baseball, Jake? So Gavin Keelan has unlocked like a new dimension of his power.
I mean, he had power, but it's not the same. And like the one thing he's doing a lot this year, Jake, and I can't remember who it was that pointed this out. He only walked 7 times last year at Louisville.
That was Mike Rooney.
Yeah, and he's walked 16 times already. I mean, I know some of that comes with the slugging numbers, right? But, like, still, I mean, the fact that you've doubled your walk total from last season before conference play starts is insane.
And I think it was in his approach, because I went back and kind of watched some of his stuff last year from Louisville. It felt like at Louisville, he didn't really have an approach. He was kind of doing the Jack Caglione where he was just trying to ambush fastballs. And now his approach seems to be he's seeing strikes. He's swinging at better pitches, which again seems like such an easy flip for them to do. But it's really unlucky. And I don't know if it's because he's able to swing so free and easy in the lineup. But I think the one thing that really does scare me about Tennessee is that they really haven't been punched in the mouth by a quality offense yet. Because when they played Arizona, they played Oklahoma State, and they played, Rice didn't really give them a scare. But when they played those two teams, they got out on them early, and then the bullpen kind of held on at the end. So it'll be really interesting to see how Tennessee does, because Florida does have the ability to put up runs in the first inning against Liam Doyle, against whoever they throw on Sunday, against Marcus Phillips. And how is Tennessee going to respond? Because as a lineup, they really haven't hit from behind very often. There was that weird mid-major game where they were down early, but again, it's not Florida. It's not, Luke.
Well, you're not
McNeely
panicking that they were down
bullpen.
2-1 to St. Bonaventure? What are we doing, Jake? Come on now. It's
I
supposed
think they
to
were
be
tied
more
with
in all
Samford into the
aspects
fourth, by the way.
world.
I think was the other one. That was the one I was thinking of, is they played it close with Samford. And Vol fans, don't quote me on that and hit
It
my
was
DMs
Samford.
and tell me how
Samford
wrong
was
I am.
close. Samford. There was a Samford game that was close on the weekend, but the midweek game that no one was panicking. But I thought was funny was when St. Bonaventure was up 2-1 in like the third inning, and then it ended up being like a 17-3 win or something crazy. But like,
And then
St. Bonaventure Bonnies led the Tennessee Volunteers, guys.
And I get
Should
that
Tony
Liam Doyle's
Vitello be on the hot seat? That's my question.
The other thing that worries me is I get that Liam Doyle's a different pitcher. I get that he has a different pitching coach that's in there. But doesn't that worry you a little bit that he was a 5 ERA guy and he's now, a sub 0.5 guy? Doesn't that worry you a little bit that he's going to return to mean and have like a 2 ERA? I'm really curious to see how Tennessee responds when he doesn't have his best stuff, because every single game he's had his best.
If he has a 2 ERA, I want to speak for Andrew's reaction. For those that are just listening to it on the podcast platform, Andrew just gave a great reaction when Jake said 2 ERA. And I don't know if I'm going to say what my response was, Andrew. I'm curious if it was the same as yours. If he has a 2 ERA on Friday, I think Tennessee's still winning baseball games.
But that's quadruple.
It's like the 5 ERA. Maybe we start to worry because it's going to be the other team's Friday night guy.
That's quadrupling his current ERA, though.
I don't care.
He's still
He
got
gave
an
up 3
ERA
runs.
under-
Oh no, Tennessee's offense can't score 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they can't. The best Gavin Keelan with batting right-handed could probably score 3.
Andrew, your thoughts on this series?
Yeah. So the SEC just released their the injury report. The one thing that sticks out, obviously, no Pierce Coppola. They're still going. The battle Williams tomorrow, Liam versus Liam Doyle, and Aiden King following up Saturday against Marcus Phillips. Don't know why I second thought that. No Pierce Coppola, and then no Frank Menendez. He didn't throw last week for UF out of their bullpen, but yeah, that's a little concerning for me. I just think Tennessee's offense is just one of the best offenses in college baseball, and I feel like as this year progresses, we're going to start having questions. Is this the best college baseball lineup we've seen in college baseball history? But yeah, I really like the Vols this week. Not to sweep, but to take 2 out of 3.
Micah, you have Tennessee taking 2 of 3. So again, it's a squad ride on the first 2 games of these series. Micah, is there anything you want to add, or do you want to move on to probably our first differing opinion of the weekend?
Yeah, let's move on. Would we all say that that is the SEC weekend series, like, to watch? Like, that's the best one this weekend? Is there any others? I mean, Ole Miss Arkansas maybe has some more intrigue from like is Ole Miss legit / what is Arkansas standpoint, but I mean, I do think this is probably the clear cut, like,
Yeah.
You know, like, again, this for me is number 1 versus number 2 in my brain. Like, so I know I'm going to be like Jake tomorrow. You and I will be doing some score checking in College Station, which is a perfect segue to where we're going to talk next. Alabama, Texas A&M, 7 o'clock Central. Wait, sorry, that's Eastern. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. First pitch there at Bluebell. My first time down at Olson. I'm excited. I know Jake's been 1,000 times, so he's probably not as excited as I am. But
I'm excited about Zane Adams and Justin LeBron.
There you go. So Jake's got something to be excited about. I'm just excited for the vibes, bubbles, hopefully, and you know, ball fives. I don't know how much you guys think I'd have to pay one of the Alabama pitchers to throw 4 consecutive balls on purpose just so I can get ball 5.
I don't think Zane Adams could do it if he
I'm willing to throw a Chris $50, honestly, down on a pitcher that's willing to just. I mean, all you got to do is like walk the leadoff guy. You can figure it out. Come on. I mean. Like, they'll probably be up 3-0 in the 3rd inning anyway. So go ahead, just walk the leadoff guy, and you'll get $50. I mean, come on, that's dinner. I'm kidding, for legal reasons. I'm kidding. But
I mean, Brad Bohannon's not there anymore, so no more.
that window's passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, figure out a way to place a prop bet on a leadoff walk for Caden.
Yeah.
Like Caden Kent's going to have a leadoff walk to start the game. Prop bet $500, and I'm giving a pitcher for Alabama $50 to do it.
For legal reasons, this is not gambling advice.
Correct. I'm not allowed to sports bet on college athletics to begin with, so I'm not going to be doing any of that. Anyways,
well, we'll start with Caleb again, just because we don't know his picks. Caleb, who do you see winning the series? It is in College Station. Alabama is 16. Texas A&M is 21 in D1's latest poll. Who do you think takes it?
I'm ready to see Zane Adams, like you were saying, and Riley Quick on game 2. I mean, Riley Quick's a 4-0, 1.76 ERA. Is this a series Texas A&M can turn things around? I mean, it's the start of the real season now, as you can say. But I mean, I'm an Auburn guy. You know, y'all guys know that, and it's hard to pick Alabama in anything. I mean, that's how big the rivalry is here. But I mean, this Alabama team has impressed me a lot. I mean, I don't think no one is expecting what they've done so far. I think they're 17-1 now. Is that correct? 17-1.
Yes, it's their
And
best start.
Justin LeBron.
I think it's their best start in 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I saw this team play last year in a regional at Tallahassee, and they didn't look good at all. They went 0-2. I mean, about like Auburn 2 years ago in their regional. But I got to say Alabama's taking the series 2 out of 3. I think they're looking better right now, and I don't know if they've picked yet or not, but Justin LeBron's leading the way, and I think they're the better team. I think they'll win the series.
Known Alabama fan Caleb coming in there sporting the Tide. Andrew, we'll go to you since you and I. So it's kind of funny. Our screen's divided right to left. The guys on the right are Team A&M this weekend. The guys on the left are Team Bama. Andrew, you went sweep for Texas A&M. Has that changed at all? Or are you still thinking that?
No, I'm still thinking A&M sweep. I think the pitching hasn't been the problem. It's been small miscues in the field and some hitting, but I think this is the get right, not the get right, but like prove everyone that Texas A&M is still a top 10 team in college baseball weekend. I think they make a statement. I'm high on Alabama right now, but I just think Alabama got the bad end of the stick here, having to go into Texas A&M opening weekend of SEC play.
Because, I mean, they have not proved a single thing to me yet, to be honest.
Yeah, Micah did discredit their weekend down in Jacksonville, and he kind of ruined them for me too.
I mean, okay, ACC lover, known ACC guy over here, just saying. The NC State team that Alabama beat is not the NC State team that you're seeing now and will be seeing down the road. They were banged up. The bullpen, Jacob Duden was, I mean, for what it was, just broken at that point. That was not the same NC State team that went to Omaha last year. Ohio State, Justin Hare is going to make that program good. They're not there yet. And Coastal Carolina is a shell of itself from years past. I'm sorry, but like they're still probably an NCAA tournament team, but
they
they're
did beat
not
Troy.
like
They
the
did beat
top
Troy.
25 Coastal. Like the fact that people are ranking Coastal blows my mind.
Yeah, they'll be like a 4 seed going somewhere.
Yeah, we'll probably get the 3 because of the Sun Belt bump, but yeah, they're gonna be that 3 seed that gets given
Just
to
Sun
probably
Belt
like
bump.
they're gonna be the 3 seed in Tennessee's regional is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's I just don't. I'm not discrediting it, but I would argue what A&M played in Houston. Granted, they didn't win those games, so I understand that. But like Arizona and Oklahoma State, in my opinion, are better than any of the teams they played in Jacksonville at the time. Especially they played those teams in Jacksonville.
And they had Arizona like by the balls.
They should have beaten Arizona. They should have been
should've
Oklahoma State.
won.
Honestly, like if they just figured out a hit with runners on, they probably beat Oklahoma State too.
Yeah,
That's the thing I'm circling, guys. Is Saturday's matchup between Lampkin and Quick. Like that's gonna be because that advantage is definitely in Alabama's favor. I actually got a chance. So for those that don't know who are listening or watching, I work at Lamar. We hosted New Mexico State in our midweeks this week. So I got a chance to talk to some of the New Mexico State staff kind of about their weekend with Texas A&M. And they talked about how they thought they played better on Saturday and should have beaten Lampkin than they did when they won on Sunday. Just because, like, again, they left a lot of guys on. I think they stranded, I think they said 17 runners or some ridiculous number in that game on Saturday. They felt like, not that Lampkin wasn't that great of a starter, but they felt like he was hittable. And I'm just saying if New Mexico State's saying they're hittable, I think this Alabama lineup can hit him. So,
to be fair, Micah, we did hear a very similar sentiment in the Oklahoma State dugout around Liam Doyle.
Yeah.
That they didn't think he was very good and that they felt they could hit him.
I didn't hear that. You must have heard that. I wasn't around when
that was not even close to the case.
But but also too, Oklahoma State had some success against him on that Saturday. Like I'm talking about, Lampkin Lampkin because they faced Lampkin. They didn't face. So like, it's kind of one of those things where, this is also hindsight too. Like this is not New Mexico State going into A&M. This was hindsight after facing him, kind of their thought process. But, I just think that the advantage goes to Alabama on Saturday. That's why, Andrew, when you said sweep, I was like, I just don't see it. I think that Alabama is going to win that Saturday game. So again, maybe that comes down to then the Sunday matchup, right? Because I do think Prager's the better Friday guy.
I think Patton's the better Sunday guy too.
And that's why I leaned A&M in the weekend. Plus, I don't think ticket prices should tell you what to expect, but the weekend sold out. I had a hard time getting tickets for friends that want to go to College Station this weekend. Like A&M is going to be rocking. It's going to be hostile. Yeah. It's probably the most hostile it's going to been since opening night against Cal Poly. I don't
think it was really that hostile either because remember it was really cold that night.
So it's going to, again, it's supposed to be beautiful this weekend in C-Stat. It's going to be 75, 80 degrees. It's going to be awesome, Jake. I'm going to love it. Probably going to need some sunscreen, but I just think it's going to be, again, I'm kind of on Andrew's side. I'm not out on A&M. I've openly said that I think this team is due, but Jake, I've also shared some information with you that maybe tells me I shouldn't be as high on them because I've had some people in my ear telling me that A&M's not very good. So I guess we'll find out this weekend, guys.
Yeah, I have Alabama taking 2 of 3, me and Caleb, boys on the left or boys on the right, depending on what side you're looking at. I think it's a Sunday salvage for A&M where they win with Miles Patton. I think Riley Quick, Ryan Prager is pretty much a toss-up in every sense of the word. I feel a little bit better about the Bama bullpen. They've had meaningful innings from guys. And ultimately, I think it comes down to Rob Vaughn. Rob Vaughn, a big part of his coaching philosophy is actually Texas A&M. Because as a player, he was told no by Texas A&M. And he said he always likes to recruit guys that are told no. He wasn't interviewed for the A&M job, and I felt he was very well qualified for it. I think this is a Rob Vaughn get off the mat type of game for Alabama. And I think that they're going to shock college baseball and punch A&M in the mouth on Friday night against Ryan Prager. I think they get 2 in the first off Ryan Prager. Hot take.
I like it. Well, I guess we'll find out quickly, won't we, Jake? And especially, we'll have a great conversation about the game afterwards in our honeymoon suite. Kayla, if you didn't know, we're staying in the same hotel, and I've upgraded Jake and I's room from a double queen to the honeymoon suite because it only makes sense. Right?
I might have to ask Rob if he has any extra hotel rooms so at the A&M hotel.
Are we staying in the Alabama team hotel?
Yeah, I'll be staying in the Alabama team hotel.
Well, let's transition over to a series that I'm very excited about. I mean, I know Caleb, you're probably pretty antsy. I don't know. Will you be there for the Auburn and Vandy at all?
No, I will not be. this is my period where it's kind of tough to get to games, but I'll start going to games more often when it gets early.
No,
April.
you're good. I just didn't know
I'll
if
be
you
there
were going to
almost
make it
every
out.
weekend.
Obviously, that's the opening weekend's always a
But it is
grand
gonna
old time
be-
to do that. So
We are getting some very bad weather here in Alabama in the next few days, like severe storms and everything. So I'm not sure if there'll be a doubleheader Saturday or not. I'm not sure yet.
yeah, but we got Vanderbilt heading to Auburn, an Auburn team that, I'm still pretty high on. Some people are on the fence about Vanderbilt. I'm kind of the opposite on. Like when I see the polls and I see Vandy ahead of Auburn, I'm shocked by that. I don't think I've seen enough from Vandy for them to be 14 in the D1 poll. And I think Auburn has done enough to be a little bit higher than 23 in that D1 poll. Jake, since we haven't started with you yet, we'll start with you though, because I already know where you're leaning, but tell me why you have Vandy winning this weekend.
I
Going
think
on
it's
the
going to be a
road.
little bit of a toss-up. Honestly, I think it's kind of a prove-it series for Vanderbilt and Auburn. I went back and forth. You know what this series really reminded me of? Is it was Texas A&M Florida from last year. Vandy playing the role of Florida, being that disappointing team that has a ton of talent. Auburn being this up-and-coming team that just sets the world on fire with power hitting from young guys you really haven't heard of on a national scale. And then Vandy comes out and shows them why they're the old guard. Brody Johnston's finally healthy. Mike Mancini at second base, the James Madison transfer. He's finally healthy. I got to see him a ton up at the Cape. He's an incredible, incredible athlete. I think it comes down to pitching for me. I don't really feel very good about Sam Dutton, J.D. Thompson on Auburn's side. And then from there, if you can take a game on Saturday or a game on Sunday, Cade Fisher really isn't up to 100% when I've talked to some of the people around that program, just coming back from some elbow issues that, we saw that dip in velo on opening night. I think he's going to be on a pitch limit. And while Auburn has shown a lot in their bullpen with some of these opener games, I think that Vandy's going to flex how this roster is built, how the pitching rotation is set up, and really kind of overwhelm Auburn. But I think that they do it in very close games.
Caleb, who did you have in this? Because Andrew is team Vandy here, so I'm curious if it's now the top versus bottom. And because for disclaimer, I had Auburn winning, but I am now a little bit more worried because when I made this pick, I did not know the Ike Irish news, and now I do.
Yeah, if you don't know already, you probably know by now. Irish is out probably 10 days. I mean, with a little fracture on the spatula, as Butch Thompson said.
How are you? I'm so curious how that's only a 10-day injury. I feel like a small fracture in your back is like at least a 2 to 3 week window.
Scapula,
Like,
by the way,
it's at least 10 days,
officially
yeah.
is.
yeah, I
So
feel
you'll
like,
miss-
like when they said it's gonna be like 10 days, I'm like, I feel like that's like a month or two. Like maybe I'm just that old now, where like the idea of any sort of back pain just scares me. But like I feel like that's more than a 10-day injury.
He does DH for Auburn, by the way. So it's
Yeah,
not
true.
that crazy for him to come back super fast and just be in the DH spot.
Yeah, he'll come back in the DH spot, but I mean, he'll be out this series and next weekend, but against Kentucky. And I was thinking toss up, but I got to lean Auburn. I think it's going to be a great crowd there this weekend. It's the first home series of SEC play. Last year, we opened up at Vanderbilt and we got swept, and it was not very close, any of the games. And we only won 2 series last year in the SEC. I mean, we got to start something different this year, and I think we'll take this series 2 games to 3.
Okay, so we still got the bottom. So I love that.
The bottom boys.
Top. Yeah. The BBs versus the TBs. I mean, I'm just saying, everyone loves the BB. That sounded weird. Not saying that again. But I mean, I am a little more on the fence with Ike Irish out, but I don't think that Auburn is just solely, Ike Irish. So I also think again, like I'm not sold on Vandy though. Like I'm not even trying to say like that Auburn's just this world-beating team. I just don't.
Auburn feels like Bruce Springsteen.
What is Vandy like? Okay, genuinely, is Vandy really better than Texas A&M? Because the polls are saying yes, but like, are they actually better than Texas A&M?
They've quietly, if you
They
remove
lost to
midweek,
USC.
that
They
midweeks
lose to
don't matter.
UCLA.
And UConn.
Yeah, and UConn.
And they lost to
UConn.
somebody cornbally on opening weekend, didn't they? Didn't they lose to like Irvine or somebody?
I just don't like. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna pull up their schedule because I'm Warren Nolan for God's sakes.
They lost to Nebraska. They
They did lose Nebraska, yeah.
Nebraska is a shell of themselves, by the way. They lost 2 of 3 to UL. And
Their wins are UCLA, who, by the way, the game before that lost to A&M Corpus Christi. So I'm not like the whole UCLA hype thing is weird to me.
No, that was in a different tournament. Though.
I know, but like I'm saying, the last like game before that for UCLA was they ended with Corpus on that weekend. I'm pretty sure.
I thought that Corpus game was a Friday.
I don't know. Jake.
Was it a Sunday?
Fine. The weekend before, is that better, Jake?
Yes.
For your verbiage, they swept Xavier, which I mean, I guess that's quality-ish. Hey, they did run rule that mighty St. Bonaventure team we just talked about not too long ago.
The Bonnies.
Yeah, shout out to the Bonnies. Who would have thought the Bonnies would get so much love on an SEC show? But I mean, St. Mary's College, Tennessee Tech, and Air Force. Those are your wins. And Grand Canyon and the Irvine win. The Irvine win is, I guess, good early, but I don't know, man.
That was after they lost to Nebraska, though, to be fair.
Maybe I'm still just mad at them for being so overrated last year that I'm punishing this year's team for it. But I don't know, man. I just don't see it.
I mean, they still have RJ Austin. They still have JD Thompson. Like, there's a lot of talent on this team. You're making it seem like they're just slap happy the clown.
They do play A&M next week, though. So I could decide.
The disappointment bowl for Micah.
That could be, yeah. Honestly, that could very much be. But, anyways, it's going to be a good one. I'm excited. Hopefully, everyone in the Alabama area. Caleb, where are you? Are you close to Auburn in that area? Is that where you're at?
About 40 minutes, yeah.
Okay. Well, y'all stay safe over there, obviously. And I know.
I think Josh
Andrew, you're getting it too in Louisiana because I know Lamar's going to McNeese this weekend, and we're kind of worried that we won't get a game in at least on Saturday. Saturday looks really, really bad down there in Lake Charles, which I'm only an hour from, so I don't know how we're not supposed to get it here in Beaumont. Lake Charles must be the very edge of that storm. But
yeah.
So everyone obviously listening, watching, from that area, please stay safe. But let's transition over to another. I mean, that's crazy how much the SEC is just, is what it is. Arkansas heads to Ole Miss. Swayze, Shower Beers, are they coming? Arkansas, I don't want to say they're underrated because they are the number 3 team in the country and they're 16-1, but it does feel like, again, their name's not really thrown around in the number 1 conversation, but they could probably be in that talk. They make a big decision that, Jake, I know, is very high on the Friday night move. So Jake, I'll go with you first with Arkansas going to Root on Friday nights. How we feeling about that?
I'm super, super excited for it. I've been very high on Zach Root. I think Mike and I talked about it preseason that I think Zach Root's going to throw the most innings for this Arkansas team. Him facing off against Hunter Elliott in the 2:30 window is going to be must-see TV. I do have Arkansas taking 2 of 3, but I think if Ole Miss is going to win the series, they have to win on Friday night. I don't really see them doing very good on Sunday. Riley Maddox has been a little bit up and down for him. I will say this. He has been really up the last few weeks. Outside of the Texas game, I really, really thought hard about leaning Ole Miss, but ultimately what Arkansas is doing with their bats the last few weeks gives me kind of some hope for them to kind of turn it around and be that offensive team that everybody thinks they can't be. So give me the Arkansas Razorbacks taking 2 of 3. I think they drop a Saturday game, but I really like Beetle Cheese in the Sunday roll for Arkansas.
Caleb, where's your head at on this series? Because I know where Andrew is, so he's on the outsiders for Jake and I. I'm also leaning Arkansas as well, even though we got to see Jake and I got the luxury of seeing Ole Miss at the beginning of the year and in Arlington. And I'll be the first to say I'll wear this one. I put Ole Miss in my preseason as the worst team in the SEC. I put Missouri above them. So I'm going to openly say out loud, I was wrong. But
yeah, that miss.
Caleb, where's your head at on the Ole Miss Rebels and this weekend with Arkansas?
I do agree with you. And
the worst team in the SEC. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
No, not that. I did think Arkansas takes 2 or 3. I mean, the Lloyd brothers, they're starting to hit the ball better, and like Jake was saying, I mean, like the past few weeks, Arkansas has been hitting well, and their pitchers right behind them, and I think they take 2 or 3 against this Ole Miss team. And I just see 2 or 3 of Arkansas. Andrew, if Ole Miss is going to win the series, they got to win Saturday.
Yeah, I'm curious because, like, when we saw them in Arlington, that Arizona team that we saw on that Friday really just looked lost, to be honest. Like, Jake and I had the luxury of seeing Arizona, opening weekend, then 2 weeks later in Houston, and we even saw them in the midweek against Rice. And Jake, I don't want to know if you want to say the same thing, the same sentiment as I did, but I feel like it's the exact like it's night and day difference, that Arizona team that we saw in Houston compared to the one we saw in Arlington. So like that, not to take away from Ole Miss's weekend in Arlington, but like they obviously smoked Clemson. Jake, we had the luxury, right, to talk to some of the Clemson guys pregame, and Clemson was very unsure about their Sunday guy, by the way, who's not their Sunday guy anymore. So like, I'm not saying that what they did in Arlington should not be given credit for, because I have Ole Miss ranked. So I was like, I think they're overrated.
I'll say this about them, Micah. I take more away from that midweek blowout of Southern Miss than
that's
I do from
fair.
opening weekend.
No, that's
kind of what gives me a lot of hope about Ole Miss, is that the lineup was, I mean, no one really talked about how bad the lineup on paper was going to be. And I mean, Luke Hill and Judd Undermark are having all SEC type seasons early. Like, they quietly have one of the better lineups in the SEC, I would say.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I give a lot of credit. I mean, obviously they lost the midweek to South Alabama this weekend, or this Tuesday, but I mean, again, midweeks, especially in the SEC, right? They do not mean more. But the Jacksonville State weekend was actually very impressive. I think it's a very underrated ball club in the CUSA that they just kind of handled with ease. Before that, right, their weekends were, besides Arlington, were Wright State and Eastern Kentucky. By the way, Eastern Kentucky's probably not the worst team in college baseball, but guys, they're bad. Like, they're really bad. They're still winless, for those that don't know.
Yeah, so they got the crap kicked out of them by Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, they are rough. Like, I mean, I feel bad because they charged people to pay to go to their games at Eastern. At least they used to 2 years ago, or actually last year when I went to a game. So I don't know if they still do, but yikes, guys. I mean, rough. But anyways, enough Eastern Kentucky talk. Andrew, you have Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
So obviously I chose Ole Miss before I knew Gabe Gackle was going to game 2, but I still feel I still feel confident that Ole Miss will take 2 out of 3. I didn't have this as a sweep, obviously. It's tough to sweep in the SEC, especially when you have a top 5 team like Arkansas coming in. I think this is a statement weekend for Ole Miss to prove that they are for real. They are for real. I think Hunter Elliott is legit, and I think Riley Maddox has looked much better his last couple outings, that he could take it from Gabe Gackle and outshine Gabe Gackle. But like Jake said, like, some of these offensive performances, like Ryan Mowerman, he's been having an outstanding beginning to the year. Judd Uttermark having an SEC all-conference type of start to the season. I think those two guys are going to lead the charge offensively. But it's going to be tough to – it's going to be a fun series to watch, especially tomorrow. Hunter Elliott going against that Arkansas lineup with Brent Iredale and the Aloy brothers. Should be a really fun one.
Do we think the Arkansas lineup has fixed itself? I mean, I think so, but like obviously earlier this season it was a little bit slow out the gates. We feel
everyone
for the non-lower 48, I think it's fixed itself. But I like I think it's Davalin, their center fielder. He really doesn't strike out a ton. He's somebody that really stands out to me. Andrew, I'm actually a little bit surprised. I thought since Gabe Gackle was your number 3 pitcher on Friday, that you'd be even more high on him in a Saturday role. But I guess he thinks the Swayze Crazies are going to overwhelm Arkansas.
So something I just learned about that, they might not be out. Ole Miss is on spring break. Just learned that. So, yeah.
So what you're telling me is that Arkansas is not going to be able to handle nobody being at the game. And, you know, it's for those of you that don't know, in our ACC world, we always give Duke a lot of credit because they don't really have a ton of people that go to their games. So we always joke, like, if you're coming to Duke, you better watch out the sleepy environment, especially in football. They're going to catch you. So maybe that's what it's going to be. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe Arkansas is going to walk in and be like, yo, where the heck is everybody? We're used to, 8,000 people watching us and there's 4. Like, maybe
nobody will do the Dixieland Delight chant, Micah, for I forget whose walk-up song that is, but no one will do the Dixieland Delight chant. Arkansas people will be like Brent Iredale will be like, what the hell is this?
What an impersonation. Someone
that was the worst
that for us. That way, whenever Jake gets a pick wrong, you don't like Jake's picks, you can just put the little clip of that wonderful rendition of what you just did, Jake.
We'll see.
Yeah. Let's transition over to the one that I know Longhorn Jake is most excited about. The Texas Longhorns, 14-1, heading to Starkville. They've announced in Starkville that there will not be a doubleheader tomorrow at the bare minimum. They will look if they do move the Saturday game to a doubleheader on Sunday. I don't know if that factors into any of your guys' opinions. I think Texas is going to go on the road, tough place, Dudy Noble, and kind of send a statement. Maybe it's not that big of a statement to take 2 or 3, but I do think winning a weekend at Dudy Noble as your first ever SEC series is a statement of its own. I'm really high on this Texas team. We saw them in the alumni game, Jake and I did. We saw them obviously in Arlington opening weekend. So I'm curious where everyone else's kind of heads are at. I know Jake is on the Texas side as me. So we'll go to Andrew first because he's got Mississippi State. How are we what do you think is going to happen at Dudy Noble this weekend?
Get ready to watch a lot of pitching dominance, in my opinion. Tomorrow, Pico Cone against Jared Spencer is going to be like, if you're a lefty pitcher, you're going to love it. I do think Jared Spencer hasn't, outside of his first start and in Vegas, I'm trying to think who he threw against. He threw against Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
I don't think he really has faced anyone. This is really going to be his first test.
It's his first true road matchup, too.
Yeah, first true road matchup, first true road game in the SEC for Texas. I think going into Mississippi State's a very tall task to ask. Their bats have been swinging it well. It's going to be interesting to see how it adjusts to going into Mississippi State. And then Mississippi State, me and Jake have talked about it so much already, how it's such a weird lineup. It's going to be interesting to see the lineup tomorrow. So I'm not that down on. I'm high on Texas. I just think Mississippi State, again, this is like a get right for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and touch them up on the Texas W.
Caleb, what are your thoughts? Obviously, we don't know your pick, so where's your head at on this opening weekend for Texas baseball in the SEC?
I'm ready to see the lefty matchup on Friday night. Pico Con and Jared Spencer, that's going to be a great pitcher's duel. Can't wait to see that. I don't know who's throwing Game 3 for Texas. Do you guys know?
I don't think they
Game 2 is Luke Harrison.
Yeah, it's Dylan Volantis.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And Texas has won 14 straight. I think it continues this week. I think they win 2 of 3 against Mississippi State. That place at Dudy Noble is going to be sold out. It's going to be packed. But I think Jim Slossnagel can get his team ready. And I think they're going to come in there and take 2 out of 3. I think Texas – I mean, they haven't beaten no barn burners on this 14-game win streak. I mean, Texas Tech, Washington, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss. But I got Texas taking 2 out of 3.
And I think I might be skewed by who I saw. Because, again, I saw Pico Con pitch. We got lucky, again, to see him in Houston. And I also saw Jared Spencer pitch. And I thought Jared Spencer was better. Like, I liked what I saw from him against – again, granted, this was the Louisville lineup where Pico Con pitched against Rice. So, like, maybe I'm just discrediting, right, the lineup that he was facing. And I'm kind of just like, okay, yeah, we saw him walk his first batter of the year. So he must not be very good if he can walk a Rice hitter. No, I'm just kidding. But
he did joke, Micah, that he was relieved that he walked him. So
yeah, I know.
He was like, finally, everybody will stop talking about it.
Yeah, right. He was almost like thankful that he finally walked somebody. And I would say Rice might be the best opponent to do that against, because they're not going to make you pay as often as some of these SEC lineups will. But that said, I mean, I just think that maybe I'm all in on Texas. Maybe Jake taking me to Austin at the beginning of February has rubbed off some burnt orange into my soul. But I don't know. I think this is gonna be a special year for Texas, and I think that the best way to do that is to send a message by going to. I'm not gonna say the most hostile environment because I don't want Andrew and all of LSU Twitter coming after me, but one of the most hostile environments in college baseball to start it off.
I think it's Texas. I really wanted to say a sweep. If you're going Jared Spencer, Pico Con, I actually give a little bit of a slight advantage to Pico Con just because he's been around the SEC a little bit more. But every other matchup, Texas is going to have the advantage. They also have the deeper bullpen. They also have the deeper lineup from 1 to 9. Mississippi State at their core, Mike and I talked about it in Houston. They're a boring team. And boring teams really only work if you play in a bad environment. And that's not what they're the worst built team for the environment that they're in. They don't have any lineup thump outside of Hunter Hines. Aaron Downs, he's still in and out of the lineups. I'm not really sure Lamonis trusts him a ton. I I think that they'll get him on Sunday. I think that that's really where they'll kind of flex the lineup. Volantis against Carson Ligon as State bumped their Saturday guy into that Sunday role. I'll have to double check if they did it last week too as well. But huge advantage for Dylan Volantis. I think that that's where he's going to kind of shine. I think he's going to be one of the next up-and-coming stars. If Luke Harrison and Jared Spencer weren't having such dominant starts, you'd almost want to talk about him in a Saturday or Friday night role. I think he's that talented. Texas is going to keep the mojo rolling of every newbie winning their opening weekend conference tourney. Give me Texas. Give me 2 of 3. I think that Mississippi State will steal one, but I think that it is going to be a stolen one from Texas, not so much a Mississippi State dominates and Texas steals one.
Well, I just realized, guys, I did a terrible job of leading the show because I definitely skipped over a weekend, and I think I did it in my head because I didn't think we needed to talk about it.
That'll be a quick one, by the way.
Yeah. Missouri and LSU was technically supposed to go before Texas and Mississippi State. I know everyone here is just dying to talk about how Missouri is going to go into the Alex box and shock the world, right? Anyone bold enough to say that? I almost threw it on the graphic. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's fun to do clickbaity stuff.
There's been
I know
a lot of engagement
that would come from that if I threw Missouri on there. But I was like, I can't do it. Like, I almost didn't have them sweep, but I was like, let's be real. This Missouri team is – I was a believer in them for, like, again, I put them as the second worst team in the SEC coming into the year. But they look – I mean, we talked about this on our ACC show. Like, we joked that Cal is probably the worst team in the ACC right now, and we think that they're probably the worst power – like the best worst power team in college baseball. They're definitely better than Missouri. Missouri's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I do paint a picture. How does LSU not sweep? Is it that they finally start striking out, even though they're the 4th best team in the country at putting balls in play?
What was that, Jake? LSU doesn't strike out a lot?
Yes, hot take. LSU does not strike out. I don't see a world where Missouri wins a game. And I'm really trying to be anti-LSU on this one. This is going to get clipped and show up in a Missouri graphic of like Ian Lowe striking out 15 in 7 innings or something. But I don't see a world where Missouri even is competitive in any of these games.
Yeah, if Missouri takes game 1 against LSU tomorrow, because I'll be there, I don't think I'm going to be allowed back at LSU because both games that I've covered 3 games at LSU, the Omaha game, which they lost,
No.
North Dakota State, which they blew out. It was the day after they nearly got upset. Yeah. And tomorrow, I don't think I'd be welcome back at Alex.
You'll be welcome back one more time, but then the next time you request,
we might have to send you every single game. If some of these SEC fans will probably pay for your tickets.
Yeah, that's what Sam said. He's like, yeah, I think we're gonna need you there for the Tennessee series. I'm like, oh no. But yeah, I don't see.
The only thing I can think of, my only and again, this is a far stretch. Like, can they get it done? And this was the first weekend of the year. They did a really good job of hitting with runners on base against UConn. And granted,
but that implies that they're going to get runners on base.
Correct.
Yes.
Again, that's why I'm saying far stretched here. LSU struggles a little bit, walks a guy or two, maybe a defensive mistake. The only time we've really seen it was against Omaha where they made some of those mistakes. So, Again, we're talking about that's what it's going to take. But, I guess if I said the odds were 20-1 that Missouri gets 1 win this weekend, you taking it?
No. It'd have to be
100-1.
Like 40-1.
100-1, you taking it, though?
100-1, yeah, I'll take it.
No.
You wouldn't take it at 20-1. I said, hey, I'll give you $20.
Not 20-1.
If they win, you just got to give me $1. You wouldn't take that?
No.
Really?
I
would take that.
bad.
$1 to win.
What would the score have to be for Missouri to win? That's a real question. What would the score have to be?
1-0. 1-0.
You think Missouri can shut out LSU, realistically?
Or not realistically, but I'm thinking of the ways.
I was thinking the other way. I think you got to win 13-12 because just college pitching happens.
But
yeah, college pitching and errors.
I don't think LSU's pitching staff's that the thing is they can pump out guys
I agree.
Yeah. 12 runs.
They did allow 12 runs to a
I just don't see how
SWAC
Missouri shuts them out because Missouri's not going to be able to pump out guys. That's why, like you say, 1-0. I'm like, I think if they win, it's because this LSU just has a bad day pitching wise.
I think
Or
5-2.
defensively, like
If
Caleb
Missouri
kinda
were to
brought
win, it
up,
would be
like-
5-2.
Yeah.
All right,
One thing
here's
about
a
LSU,
fun game that's definitely not going to bite us in the ass if Missouri somehow wins a game. Does LSU win multiple games by double digits? Does they run rule them in multiple games?
Yes.
I
I
hope
don't
Yeah,
think so.
two.
Not in multiple games.
I
I think
They
two.
run rule them.
Let's
Would
say
you feel
that's
confident saying
momentum.
they run rule them in one?
In one, yeah.
Yes.
They're
Sun-
going to run roll on Sunday. That's like
Yeah.
a given. They're running out Chase Shores.
All right, I'm not here giving this for legal reasons, not betting advice. Hammer Missouri money line on Sunday because Jake just it's fried.
One thing
Hammer
about
Missouri money line.
LSU, still no Gavin Guidry. He was listed out on the SEC report. Jay Johnson keeps dancing around that question. He said he would have been available last week in the midweek, then this weekend, and
It's a back
dealing-
thing, right?
yeah, he's dealing with a back thing. So it's not a 10-day injury like
See, I thought backs were only 10-day injuries.
not like Irish. Guidry's been dealing with this for a little while, it looks like. So taking its time, but I mean, obviously, a lot of freshman arms stepping up for LSU right now. So
Yeah, I mean,
Here, Andrew, I got one for you. Did you know that Aiden Moffitt's on Texas's team? When I was doing research for this, I forgot he was on there.
yes, it reminded me when we first did this. I did my research, and then I'm like, I knew this, but it like slips out of my mind. Just like there's another one that slipped out that I was like, he went there. So yeah,
It was like Giovanni DiGiacomo to was it Duke, Micah?
yeah.
Or just like popped up.
Andrew, I'm going to bait you now into a fun question since you're a New Orleans guy. What's a tougher layout? 3 games against Missouri or the Tuesday against New Orleans before heading to Texas? Which one is LSU most likely to lose a game in?
the UNO one, I think, because
So too, that's why I was like, because I think all right, again, you get your best guys Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're about to go to Austin the weekend, like you're playing them on
Yeah.
a Tuesday, like New Orleans is going to be a little bit hungry at least to beat
and
you.
they haven't looked bad either. They took a series from Boston College a couple weeks ago, and
That
it's
hurt,
not
Micah.
No, it hurt. It hurt really a lot more this weekend when Virginia lost the series to
to
Boston
Boston
College.
College.
Because I look back and I go, this is a team that lost to New Orleans.
Yeah,
New Orleans gets swept by Houston Christian.
Yeah, dude, Houston Christian, new powerhouse. All it took was Lance Berkman leaving.
yeah, Lance Berkman leaving.
Built
But,
by Berkman.
Yeah, no more William Schmidt on weekdays. It looks like Connor Ware's kind of struggled. I wouldn't be surprised if like UNO.
Can we talk about the most misleading graphic ever created with William Schmidt? It just says "done" at the bottom because he's moving out of the midweek rotation.
yeah.
I thought he like injured himself and was done for the year. I was like, what is this graphic?
Did On3 put that out, or who put that out? 'Cause I don't
I
know
think
if
it was like an On3 style. I don't know if it was On3
that's
specifically.
so funny. Those
It was the
graphics
most
are always
misleading
funny,
shit ever.
But
Yeah,
Let's see if I can go in and
all
find
right, we
it.
got one more weekend before we've spent probably way too much time on Missouri LSU. All of us have LSU sweeping. I didn't actually ask everyone's pick, but does
Yeah.
anyone not have LSU sweeping? Okay. Oklahoma, South Carolina, the Shane Beamer Bowl, for those that don't know. For me, guys, this is actually a really big weekend for like my judgment of the SEC and some like kind of the middle pack of it. At the beginning of the year, I had South Carolina in my preseason bracketology, Oklahoma on the outside looking in. Because again, someone's got like two good SEC teams are probably going to miss the NCAA tournament because they're just going to have a record that's going to keep them out. Like that's just the reality. So I'm starting to think that South Carolina is one of those two teams, and I don't like that because I think they're capable of being a very dangerous team. I know I talked to the Clemson guys after that weekend, and obviously Clemson swept them, but they did say that South Carolina is still a good ball club. It wasn't like it was South Carolina's down or anything crazy like that. They're 15-3. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Founders Park, but it is a really good atmosphere when it is rowdy. I don't know what they're expecting, but they're normally pretty good on opening weekend. for SEC play. Oklahoma comes in. I was, again, a doubter of them, but got to watch them in Round Rock. I thought they were – I'm impressed with the brothers on the mound on Friday, Saturday with the Witherspoons. Witherspoons, right? Not Weatherspoons. It's Weather or Wither.
Yeah.
I always
Witherspoons.
But, again, their lineup's been very, I think better than I expected at the bare minimum. I had Oklahoma taking 2 of 3. Does anyone here have South Carolina winning the weekend? And if so, I'll let them go first. If not, then we'll go to Andrew. All right, everyone's leaning OU, it seems.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. What are we thinking?
I just think, one, South Carolina's bats have been so inconsistent. They did get a midweek win, but I just think we're at that point now with SEC play ramping up. Your starters are now ramped up to throw 90 to 100 pitches. I think we can see both Witherspoon brothers go 7-8 innings and shorten the length of the bullpen and just shut down the South Carolina offense. That Oklahoma only needs a few runs to win and only get 3 or 6 outs from their bullpen. But I just really like Oklahoma's pitching this weekend against South Carolina, even going into Founders Park.
Caleb.
Yeah, I'm ready to see that pitching matchup of Witherspoon and Brandon Stone. Jason Walt, Kyle Branch, they've been crushing the ball lately. And South Carolina, they looked vulnerable in that Clemson series. They looked beatable, and they are beatable. But Paul Mainieri, he has a good squad every year. He's back in baseball, and I'm excited to see what he can do over the next few years at South Carolina. But like you were saying, Micah, somebody's in the SEC's got to miss a tournament. South Carolina is a tournament-level team, but, I just don't see them making it this year. Just with how the level of competition is every year. And I do see Oklahoma taking 2 out of 3 this weekend. Even though it is at Founders Park, I still see the Sooners taking it.
Jake?
I see Oklahoma, and I actually think South Carolina is a really good team. I just think that they're getting OU at the bad time because this feels like where if they, because they're still working through some of their starting rotation issues. As you know, Eskew was in the Friday night role. McCoy's looked really good at times. I think that's going to be my favorite is when Malachi goes against McCoy. That's probably the one that I'm circling. I don't see how Kyson Witherspoon doesn't win this game on Friday night. That's really what I have it down for me is I think South Carolina is a lot better than people have kind of given them credit for. But I also think OU's lineup is a lot deeper than people give it credit for. Dason Harris is another one of those guys that really kind of jumps out to me. Easton Carmichael for OU is kind of an X factor. For South Carolina, I think in order for them to win 2 of 3 here, they got to have somebody outside of Ethan Petrie step up. And right now, I really don't know who that is for South Carolina.
Kennedy Jones, telling you right now.
I am a big Kennedy Jones guy, but do you really feel like he's somebody that, okay, if Ethan Petrie's off a day, he could carry the lineup?
No. Unfortunately, no. I love the guy, but no.
I was going to say Nolan Naraki, by the way. He was kind of my X factor. I think if Nolan Naraki can have a really good weekend, South Carolina will be good, but
he's
ultimately,
dead to me, so I don't know who you're talking about.
Skip Johnson is just incredible at shortening these games. Realistically, his bullpen's going to get 20 outs at most. Like they're going to get 7 or 8 from Malachi and Kyson.
Yeah,
and then Cam Johnson at times, if he can.
Well, that's the question though, because again, this is assuming. But if South Carolina does hit one of the 2 Witherspoons this weekend and makes the bullpen come out, and have to actually get 12 outs in one game, can they do it? Because we haven't seen enough of the bullpen. Do we feel comfortable with that?
But here's the thing, too, is South Carolina is so bad at hitting with runners in scoring position. I feel like they're really
worse.
good.
Are they the worst in the SEC?
I don't know about that. They're the worst last year. I don't think they hit either of the Witherspoons. I think if they're to get them, is one of them gets the walk bug. But even then, I remember South Carolina last year where they would load the bases and strike out 3 times. Like they did that in the Alabama series. Again, that was last year, but I feel like that's still South Carolina. But, this will be one, though, I will be very, very impressed if South Carolina takes 2 of 3. Like, it'll be a completely new team because I think that this is a host Oklahoma team, if I'm being honest with you.
If South Carolina does take 2 of 3 from Oklahoma, does your stance on is it a South Carolina's better than we thought, or Oklahoma's maybe a little over?
I think it's the first one. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really hard to go on the road in the SEC.
Yeah.
Founders is still a tough place to go and play, but it would really tell me a lot about South Carolina because I think OU's gonna be in that. They're gonna be kind of like how Mississippi State was last year, where they'll be in that high 2, fringe 16. Type
Or they
of
could be
field.
like, I don't know, Oklahoma last year.
Oklahoma was good.
Who was
last year.
also
They went
a
away
high
with the
2
Big
fringe
12.
1.
They were like a fringe super host for a little bit.
South Carolina's 15th in SC in batting average, 279.
Is Missouri 16th?
No, Texas A&M, 268.
Wow.
Where's Missouri? 14.
That's it. I'm changing my pick. Alabama sweep.
Missouri's at 11.
Missouri's 11.
Who? Wait, what?
301, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I will say though, when you guys get to when they get to play like 3 SWAC teams on a weekend, I mean,
And splitting Binghamton.
you're gonna hit the
I was
ball.
gonna. I had it all teed up for South Carolina's the worst team in the SEC because Missouri doesn't count. But good for South Carolina.
The question is, are the 2 worst teams in the SEC in Columbia?
Ooh, I think A&M's the second worst team.
Can we clip that? Someone clip that. I'm just gonna make that my ringtone. Have people call me when we're in College Station tomorrow, where it's just
Said it
Jake
really
saying, I think
quiet.
A&M's the second worst team in the SEC. But
A&M's gonna end up winning the whole SEC, and they're gonna have a clip of you saying that. Jake.
oh, I've been bookmarking all of my like positive A&M stuff during While the Sky is Falling, so that way, if and when they get to Omaha, I can just be like, I told you,
Yeah.
I told you. But and then I'll just magically delete those bookmarks.
Come on, we already talked about A&M. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Oh, you're still so angry. But all right, well that's all the games this weekend. Any final thoughts, anyone?
Get out to the ballpark. Bring an umbrella. Bring a poncho.
We don't
have
need
a hot
one in
dog
College
for me.
Station, Jake. Why are you asking me to bring a poncho or an umbrella?
Yeah, have a hot dog on old pal Jake this weekend. Put some ketchup on there too.
Yeah, well, everyone, I will be posting Jake's Venmo. Send him a request for your hot dog.
Please do not. I do not. I'm not Jay Johnson where I can pay for the first 100 fans.
Jake is going to pay for the first 500 SEC fans hot dogs. You heard it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to the concession stands first, loading up there, and then going up to the press box tomorrow. Everyone's gonna be
Yeah,
like,
send me your expense report.
Yeah.
Hot dogs, Jake. Hot dogs
Hot
for all these listeners.
I think they have hot dogs in the LSU press box, by the way.
They do. They do.
I wouldn't
tried
say they're
them
high
out.
quality, but they have them.
They're okay. They're okay.
Jake, how are the hot dogs at A&M? Do I have to do a hot dog review?
I've actually never had
I
a hot
can't
dog.
do a
in
hot
here.
dog review tomorrow though, Jake, because it's a Friday in Lent. So tomorrow's gonna have to be whatever fish fillet they got at the ballpark.
Yeah.
It's also has pork. Well, they do this one thing where they put it in a pretzel. So they have like a hot dog pretzel.
That's kind of fire.
Yeah.
That's the
I didn't think
Aggies,
it was
man.
very good, but they do it.
Caleb,
Caleb,
any
any
final
closing
thoughts?
thoughts?
No final thoughts. I'm just listening to the hot dog talk.
Known hot dog eater over here.
Connecticut sausage. That's the way.
See,
Have y'all never had
not
that?
every ballpark has a sausage, man. And I went to you have to go. Like, I get a lot of shit for this. I don't like my hot dog plain. But last year I went to every AC ballpark and had a plain hot dog because it's cheating because some places had different styles of mustard, different styles of ketchup.
That's not the best way to
I'll
review
say
it at all.
A couple AC ballparks like chili's free. You can just literally get chili thrown on there for free. Like I feel like that's
I would rather
unfair,
have
man.
no condiments than that crap that Mark puts up there. The
The
mayonnaise.
mayo, yeah, mayo on a hot. Yeah, for everyone
That's
listening,
Northwest.
Go spam Mark Garland from College Baseball Central on the idea that mayo is on a hot dog. What are we doing?
That's vile.
They do it weird up there in Oregon State.
I saw mayo on nachos yesterday at the Lamar game. One of our like TV ESPN Plus camera guys did that, and I almost yacked.
You sure it wasn't sour
Oh.
cream?
What'd you say?
And on that
said-
bombshell, we'll see everybody Monday at noon for the SEC breakdown. We'll talk about who won the weekend, who lost the weekend, who the sky is falling on, who got exposed, and everything in between. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you bright and early because I